James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. We got 10 games here on a Wednesday. James, Sean Mitchell on the playbook today. Did the playbook already. It is out for all of you. And it has been a busy afternoon here in the NBA. A lot of notable names ruled out. A lot of notable names popping up on the injury report. We are getting now some names that are ruled in and ruled out as well. So with a little bit of a later start time here today, might actually be a bit more beneficial for us here, James, to get all some of the latest news here with that 7 o'clock tip.
Yeah, and like all this news has popped throughout the day, and like LeBron and AD both just sitting there questionable, like, hey, by the way, we could maybe not play either, and just really F everything up. So there's a lot of stuff that still has to break. And fortunately for you guys, maybe we get it considering we started a little later today, and we'll go a little bit later. And fortunately for everyone involved, that we may get the news ahead of time. Unfortunately, let's see. I mean, the Cleveland news will come out early, right? That game tips at 7 o'clock, so we'll know the status of Donovan Mitchell.
We did get word that Craig Porter will start if Mitchell's out, so that's good to. I wondered if they float that out there because the intention is that Mitchell's out. Plus, we haven't seen Donovan Mitchell tweet yet, right? Like,
oh, is that? Have you checked? Have we seen the Donovan Mitchell? Because that is
the only reason I say that is because usually Underdog will tweet out when he does or doesn't do it on days that he's questionable.
No tweet. December 18th was the last let him know tweet we've gotten. So it's a good shout by you, John. I guess there's confirmation.
So like we don't get it.
So 4:10 is when he tweeted on December 18th.
Yeah.
It's 5:30, buddy. He's not playing.
It doesn't seem like he's out here playing today. So we'll see if we get the tweet or not. But the fact that they already leaked out who would start in his place if he was not in, I think speaks volumes to the Donovan Mitchell status here. Of course, Jason Tatum already ruled out. Al Horford already ruled out. Kristaps Porzingis is in. So it's how do you go about with the Celtics rotation? Will we see an O'Shea Brissett start? Will they go Sam Hauser? Will Lamar Stevens, who didn't play at all last night, find a way into the rotation here tonight? DePrince and Gordon Hayward is in. Miles Turner is also in. Jalen Smith is in for the Pacers tonight as well. No Mark Williams. So the Charlotte-Indiana game with a 250 game total there. Getting healthy in that rotation, except for Mark Williams here. So, again, a lot of news still to come. A lot of news that we're certainly at least happy to have already gotten as well today.
Yeah. One more note is Wendell Carter starting. Fresh off the injury report, just back in the starting lineup.
They be on a monitored minutes limit, whatever that means.
That's no limit. That means no limit. I mean, if he comes out and plays well, like monitor over. You're monitoring nothing. You're just monitoring the rest of his rotations. Like
John Morant won't play crazy minutes on his debut either, and he played 36. So.
If he misses that shot, he's playing he plays 40 minutes because it's over. Like he's playing 40 minutes in overtime. Like that's the thing that I feel like when we're like assessing how a player is going to be limited, one, like Ja was never injured and he was always able to practice with the team. Right. And like Wendell Carter had a hand, like if he hasn't been able to run because of a hand injury, there's something probably else wrong with him. So, yeah, I mean, I that was the first price tag, and I didn't do the podcast with you, and Sean did a great job, but that was the first price point that I like, because I was like scrolling through this morning, like, man, if none of this news like breaks the way you want it, there's no value. Like the value sucks. And then I saw Wendell Carter 54. I'm like, that feels pretty cheap for a guy who's like been relatively good.
Even if he played 25 minutes, there's a range for him to hit the value at his cost for sure. So yeah, again, guys, we'll have our usual positional breakdowns here, and if any more news comes out during the show, of course we'll hit it. We got the Jimmy Butler news yesterday that he wasn't going to be in. Paul George and Norm Powell were both questionable to play tonight. They popped up on the injury report with an illness, so we'll have to see sort of their status in this game. Obviously, that would create some potential value here on this slate as well. So when the news hits, we'll certainly have it for you here. But let's get into the slate. Those of you who haven't already hit the like button, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, do that as well. Happy to answer all your questions here today. I see through you saying, let's go. Albert saying hello. Faisal in the chat. Taco Corp. The Prince letting us know that Hayward was active. And then Albert wants to think we know Hartenstein starts. I would assume so. No Jericho Sins with his injury here. So if they start
please no. Please.
Taj Gibson here, that would be an upset of upsets.
Then we know he officially has some dirty laundry on Thibodeau, right?
Yes, I would imagine that would be some sort of blackmail on the coach there. But let's talk about the point guard position here. You have Luka Doncic at home against the Clippers at $12,200. You have Tyrese Halliburton in that high pace total game, 10-9. Trae Young now 10-5 coming off of his recent run. He's got a Houston matchup here. And then we were loving Donovan Mitchell, but obviously the 10K questionable and seemingly unlikely to suit up has us a bit worried there. De'Aaron Fox is $9,600 against Boston. Where do you find yourself looking to go here today, James?
And
is there anybody you're looking to spend up for the point guard?
I kind of just really like the tier below. I'm not saying I wouldn't get to a guy in Tyrese Halliburton in a 248 implied or wherever you're looking, like open at 250, depending on some books have it 247.5, some books have it 248.5. I mean, that's the biggest on the board regardless. Wouldn't say I wouldn't get to Luka, who has made a career of making the Clippers his son. That has been a thing since forever. The playoff series that Luka had against them this year, he's been tremendous against them. He's playing 40 minutes basically in blowouts. So, like, sure, if you want to get there, sure. I just kind of like the tier below. And I guess obviously if Donovan Mitchell plays, but I can't get over that he hasn't tweeted, let him know. So, like, I just assume he's not.
Is this the man we're going to here?
That is the pizza roll eating bearded gentleman that is in a good spot, and he's been doing this production's coming like with guys, right? Like, I know PG missed one of these games. I believe it was the Golden State game that Paul George missed. So, like, there's obviously, dude, he's playing as well as like he's played, right? Like, when we've gotten peak Harden, like he's playing extremely well. Especially the shooting splits have kind of been insane. Shooting 55% from three is 44% from three on the year. Like, this is like kind of crazy production from Harden. So yeah, if Paul George is out, I mean, we're going right to the Harden well, and no one can stop us.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this game came with Harden and with Irving, with PG and Kawhi active. Maybe no Norm Powell, maybe no Paul George here tonight. We'll obviously put Harden right up there with one of the top plays overall to say. I mean, you made the comment, once they move Russell Westbrook to the bench, James Harden started giving us like 40 fantasy point nights here. And we know what the ceiling certainly can be when that usage rate opens up. Without Norm Powell and Paul George on the floor this year, he's averaging 1.5 fantasy points per minute. So that's about as elite peak Harden as we've seen in some time. You have Terry Rozier in the Pacers matchup. Yep. We always talk about when you're facing Indiana, you raise your ceiling a little bit for what the expectations are for a player. This is a guy that's given us 60s and 50s since he's taken over with no LaMelo Ball. Obviously, Harden's the first choice. I have to imagine Rozier is a fine pivot for you here.
Yeah, and the ownership kind of reflects the fact that he would be a pivot. Nobody's playing Terry Rozier, and that's maybe a mistake. I mean, you look at Rozier's numbers, sans LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams, he has a 30% usage rate, or a smidge under if you want to round up. It's 30%. And he averages 1.3 fantasy points per minute. And we've talked about it since he's come back. We know Terry Rozier can score. Yeah. He is a bucket. He's always been, And the thing he's done better than we've probably ever seen is the point guard nature of this, like the passing. And he's racked up a lot of assists outside of that mauling in Philly, which again, we could just Philly literally mauled
ignore that game, right?
Just ignore it. I mean, just ignore it. And even like the 32 minutes against Toronto is a floor when you just look at every other game he's played in since. I mean, 32 minutes, 44 fantasy points is what we're getting out of Rozier.
But he normally plays at least 5 more minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole extra shift. We're talking about an easy 50 bomb. So it's a great spot for a guy at essentially no ownership.
Agreed. In that same range, Tyler Hero came back 33 minutes off the rip after missing a month's worth of games, goes 10 of 18 from the floor against a tough Minnesota team, 25 actual here. No Jimmy Butler also has to be considered here. Now, Orlando, obviously slow, good defensive team on the road. But like, where does Hero or Brunson, Van Vliet coming off of a broken slate? This 8K range has a ton of guards. Kobe White, Derek White coming off of a 30 actual point game last night. Like, this is one of the toughest. I guess we have a clear play in Harden, but like, if you close your eyes and threw a couple darts at this board here, you probably wouldn't be too disappointed with wherever they landed.
No, and there's even some guys below that too that we're going to talk about like this. And that's why like I wasn't entirely enamored with like the 10K tier. Hero's fine. I obviously the minutes you were spot on with your analysis in terms of like, I mean, no matter what, Tyler Hero just plays minutes. Like it's just always a scenario.
Plays
like
minutes, take shots.
That's what takes a lot of shots now, and there's obviously more room for the peripheral stats without Jimmy being there too. Especially when they go to lineups without Kyle Lowry handling the ball, like it's going to be all Tyler Hero and Bam, and in those situations, or just Tyler Hero. So he's fine at 88. Van Vliet, like I'm never going to put it past him to have ceiling games because he is a guy that we've said for years has ceiling games. Like he does, but 27, 17, and 8 in an overtime game in a game, if you remember, had like a 215 total. Yeah. And it went for and minus overtime had 250 points scored in it. So like now he gets a massive pace of spot against Atlanta. Obviously, like if you want to go there, that's fine. Colby White, the Whites right here, White, Colby, and Derek. I said it in the Discord last night. I wish I was more like assertive about Derek White, but there's no wrong answer here. Colby White
Derek White's like a 1-3 or something like that with
let's scroll back up. Something like that. 1-2, 27% usage rate without Tatum and Horford this year. And last night he was 8% owned, and he was the key in basically every winning lineup. And I cashed with Derek White. He was and I wish I had more conviction with everybody and just saying like, please, Derek White, he does this when somebody is off the floor. And Porzingis off the floor last night, Tatum off the floor. He does
3 blocks in back-to-back games for a guard, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, he had those in the first quarter, by the way. Like he had 3 blocks in the first quarter.
But it's not even like a fluke to say like he has multiple games in the last 5 with double-digit blocks, right? So, or not double-digit, but multiple blocks rather.
He actually took 18 threes in a game. Which
yes,
that is.
But he had the 6 for 10 3 game here too. Like he's not afraid to chuck.
No, I'm not saying he is. I just am looking at 18 threes and being like, that is a lot of threes.
Well, the Celtics missed a team record 41 threes last night. So not great that they lost that game. Kobe White, price up, production the same. I mean, like, what do you do with this guy? Another 40 minutes on the rip here against the Lakers at home tonight. We haven't played a ton of guards against LA this year, but I see no reason not to just keep playing Kobe. I know once again, the books are just keeping his PRAs and right where they're at 32.5. The man is going over this almost every single night,
He's doing that with just like, if you want to like pick and choose like points plus something else, he does it like one or the other. I mean, there is like if there is a weakness in the Lakers defense, it's D'Angelo Russell. That's why he gets benched at every.
Yeah. Gabe Vincent is back tonight. I don't know if that changed anything for you.
He is back. He's missed a long time. He hasn't played since October, so I'm not sure like how long he would play. I know he had been like firmly in the rotation, like 20 plus 30 minutes at times for Vincent, but yeah, Kobe White's a really solid option at 8K. I don't know what is the ownership on Kobe White because no one's played him. 11%. No one's really getting to him either tonight.
I think once Paul George officially gets ruled out, everybody just moves over to Harden. Like they just
yep
keying in on that one. The Prince wants to know our thoughts on Jalen Brunson here. Again, another guy that is obviously always capable of going off. Just had 29 actual. He hit a 50 burger a couple games prior to that. I mean, it's the matchup in Brooklyn here tonight. Any interest in Jalen Brunson?
I mean, Jalen Brunson just has a ceiling. We've said it a bunch. He just is a guy who has a massive ceiling. I think 86 is a little much for me playing as a single entry player.
I think the slate has a lot to do with it too. Like there's so many guys in what seems like better spots. Not to knock the. I mean, he went 29, 4 and 3, and the 4 and 3 are actually kind of less than what we generally get out of him. If he gave you your usual stats, he might have gone for another 50 fantasy points there. Again, it's just an elite tier. Some of these guys have dual positional eligibility, which is nice to see. But then you mentioned like there's guys below. Colin Sexton is $7,200. Drew Holiday is $7K. If you wanted to, take a look, Dinwiddie is here at $7,700 coming off of a monster game. And Sean and I talked about it. Do you think there's a coincidence that Dinwiddie's got double-digit assists in 2 games, or Cam Thomas had 40 and like 35 actual? Have to assume he's probably just picking up a lot of assists on Thomas knocking down buckets here.
I've been saying it for like a little bit with the Dinwiddie thing, and like he isn't like scoring as much as we've seen in like past. Like Washington, he would give us like 20 a night, and earlier in the year he was giving us like he's doing literally everything, almost triple-double the other night. And he plays big minutes anytime Dennis Smith is out. We just got the word Ben Simmons isn't coming back in anytime soon. Like, he's the only point guard on this team. So, Cam Thomas does operate as like the backup point guard, and that's nice for them, but they want Dinwiddie on the floor more. He actually lost out some minutes in that Utah game due to a blowout. Then even probably would have played close to 40 again if that game had stayed competitive. And we've talked about it a bunch of times, and you've specifically pinpointed it. The Knicks are now dead last in defensive rating in December. Dead last.
Yeah.
Worse than Washington, worse than Indiana, worse than Detroit, worse than Atlanta, worse than Charlotte. The worst defense in the NBA. Hartenstein doesn't fix that problem at center. Julius Randle is his pairing in the front court. That obviously, like, there's obviously a discrepancy between Julius Randle's offense and defense. Like, I am. He was one of the first people I plugged into my lineups again today because I'm getting him low ownership again. He's 9% projected. He's still under 8K for no reason at all when he's going to play close to 40 minutes and against this month's worst defense in the NBA.
It's always like we look at pace. We're like, oh, they play so slow, and generally Thibodeau's got a good defense. But then you and I were like just looking through the box score. It's like, well, they're actually letting up like 130 points to every team they play here. Where's it come through? And then, you kind of dug a little deeper into the numbers and realized that they are just not playing defense. And I don't know how much of Mitchell Robinson has to do with that, but they're definitely having some problems right there on the defensive end. Do you have any interest in Drew Holiday? Because he's someone that actually averages more fantasy points per minute with Tatum and Horford off the floor than like a Derek White.
Yes. I think Tatum is interesting, or Holiday is interesting rather. He has not had any type of ceiling. He hasn't even really had a good floor of late, but like
not lately, no.
It's unfair to, I guess, to judge because he has had most everybody healthy this whole time. So I could see myself getting the Holiday. I did post it in Discord. Still a very low usage rate. Like 17%, right? Yeah, that doesn't change. He just is a better fantasy producer. I'm okay. I like the position eligibility. He's going to be the Celtics we'll see what changes. Like if Paul George is in, I'd assume there's some ownership that gravitates towards the Celtics a little bit more. And actually seeing like some, because our provider has not updated, seeing some Boston ownership coming in. Drew Holiday is actually the second high. I was going to say I don't think he would be highly rostered, but he's the second highest owned Celtic of the day.
I mean, he's the best value starter outside of who may actually start. I mean, like if O'Shea Brissett enters the starting lineup, he'll be the highest rostered player on the slate. Probably.
He is currently projected to be the highest rostered player.
Even still? Okay, yeah. So say, and that's without even knowing that he is the starter here. Maybe if like Donovan Mitchell officially gets ruled out, what is Porter like 41 or something like that?
43, yeah, 43. So like, also, still no tweet from Mitchell. Just saying, I just rechecked. I keep rechecking. No tweet from Donovan Mitchell yet.
Yep. So like I think that there's a good chance to see some of that roster kind of full float around there. So other point guards here again, a lot still to get through. But any of these like 6K and under plays on your radar tonight?
I mean, I kind of have some interest in like a Talon Horton-Tucker. If he stays in the starting lineup for Utah, no Clarkson, no George. He starts. He went nuts, and we've seen this now a couple times this year that he can be a big time fantasy producer because he's kind of good everywhere.
Yeah.
He's like.
You and I talked about it the other day. I was like, if there was someone on this team that would take 20 shots, it would be Talon Horton-Tucker. He's taken 19 and 2 of the last 3, right?
Yeah, so I do like Talon Horton-Tucker in this mid-tier. I'm not totally out on Westbrook. It's hard for me to get there. But like if Norm and Paul George were to sit, I could see a scenario where we get like mid-20s minutes out of Westbrook. We kind of had that discussion in Discord, like Amir Coffey likely starts. If Amir Coffey doesn't space the floor, like they could just elect to turn to Westbrook, or they could. So TBD on Westbrook in tournaments. It would have to be like a large field situation, but that's really it. The 6K tier and then the 5K tier. Like the only pacer getting ownership in a 250 total is Bruce Brown. I can't get him ever. I never get this guy right. I know it's an eligibility thing that I probably missed, but Fox on his birthday. So John might, if you guys have listened, I don't care for narratives. No offense. Maybe he's great on his birthday. Maybe he's not. Maybe De'Aaron Fox hates his birthday. Maybe, maybe we don't know. Like there's nothing like definitive that can like say De'Aaron Fox is going to be great today because it's his birthday.
Yeah, I mean, De'Aaron Fox is probably a great play every day.
He has a great play every day. He's a great play every day.
You and I do talk a lot about like certain matchups and whatnot. And we do like the Boston guards defensively. Porzingis at the rim is a better rim defender. But, again, I'm fine going De'Aaron Fox if you want to go De'Aaron Fox. But we listed off 10 8K guards that are giving you like the same level of production there. So, and maybe without Tatum, maybe Boston like doesn't hang on the second night of a back-to-back. And, it's getting blown out. I don't think that happens, but I mean, who knows? Quickly is at 52. He obviously had the big game the other night. Don't know if that earns him more playing time. Played 29 minutes. Gave you 20 actual. Like, can we play Emmanuel Quickly more? That'd be pretty cool. Gary Trent out of nowhere broke the slate. 22 and 10. I don't see that coming here again, but just shouting it out. Peyton Pritchard is kind of interesting. If you think about the way the rotation could work, no Tatum, like maybe there's a scenario where they roll more guards and Pritchard's out on the floor a bit more. Had played 20 or so minutes anyways over the last 3 games, always a GVP plug. The price is up on him because it's a back-to-back, but just another potential man to throw out there.
Yeah, and I posted in Discord earlier, the Celtics, the last time they've played a like back-to-back that we've been able to gather data out of was 11-19, 11-20. There was no Derek White. There was no Al Horford, obviously, because Horford hasn't played back-to-backs. The Celtics played their starters massive minutes, including Sam Hauser. But Pritchard played 33 minutes off the bench. There was no, every starter played 30-plus minutes, And then it was just like Pritchard filling in the gaps, right? And then like short rotations elsewhere. He also, and it was a blowout, but this latest back-to-back they played, the 12-14, 12-15, played 28 minutes on the second leg. Now they won by 17, wasn't all that close, but he had 37 fantasy points in both of those games. So there is merit to getting to Peyton Pritchard. If you think Missoula stays with these rotation patterns where second leg of a back-to-back, just short, probably doing it backwards, but he's shortening rotations on back-to-backs, which is probably not the best approach, but we've also said it a bunch of times this year where like players seemingly are staying healthier by playing more, which maybe is something to look into, right? So just to keep that in.
We got more narratives going out here. Got Jamal Murray in Canada. And we got a Cueto revenge game. We'll talk about my guy Nemus. Don't you worry about it. Pulled off the double-double last night off the bench there. Moving over to shooting guard. Anthony Edwards is $9K. Jaylen Brown is $8,800. Do you play? Are you paying this price tag for Jaylen Brown here?
So he was obviously really good again last night, other than a missed layup that could have just sealed the game.
Well, they had a lot of those. They missed 21 layups. Deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say, versus the Golden State Warriors. The Celtics are taking a lot of heat for losing that game, but they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis. So he is supposed to be the difference maker this year.
It's fair. They also were up like 20 with Steph Curry.
They get up to a lot of leads in these games, and but Porzingis not being there, I think, factors in a lot.
Agreed. I'm, good with it if that's where you land. I don't think it's a priority. I think that it is a solid play. He's going to play upper to mid 30s minutes. He's going to command the most shots. We've seen the assist numbers ticking way up after back-to-back 0 assist games. We know he's good defensively.
Nobody's playing him.
And
we talk, obviously right now nobody's playing James Harden either, but I think that changes when Paul George officially gets ruled out here. But I wondered if them being the same price point is keeping people off of maybe off of Jaylen Brown on the back-to-back here against Sacramento.
I mean, it could just be the fact that it is a back-to-back in like on the road after playing 40 minutes in overtime yesterday. The only healthy, I guess, or fresh legs, as you want to call them, is Porzingis. We don't even know how his legs haven't been fresh in years. So
because looking at the current ownership, right? We don't have the Donovan Mitchell news, so Donovan Mitchell's being considered in this. He's the highest priced, high rostered guy, right? He's almost 20%. If he gets ruled out, that's a bunch of money now that it becomes available to spread outwards, right? Now Luka Doncic is your next 10K plus player after him, but that's almost 10%, 50% reduction in ownership. So, we'd be curious as to where that money goes if Donovan Mitchell ends up getting ruled out. And if that money then flows down to a Jaylen Brown or a James Harden if Paul George also gets ruled out,
Yeah. I wonder if I do wonder if it's just the back-to-back, the nature of the back-to-back, and and DraftKings doing what they're doing, where you're like, it's a sticker shock where you're not used to seeing Jaylen Brown $8,800. I've seen him at that price.
If he was 78, he'd probably be super chalky, right? So
it's probably different too. Like if you see Jaylen Brown $8,800 last year, sans Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday, you're like, oh. You're clicking the easy button, but where I am updating the ownership, we just got a recent update, so I'm updating right now as well.
Mid-tier range here, Cam Thomas is $7,400. You talked about the Knicks' struggling defense. Do you think he can stay hot right now? Back-to-back games, 24 and 23 shots. He's knocking them all down. The ups and downs this guy has, but when he's up, he's paying off this tag in spades, man.
He is just a walking 2-pointer. And he's making threes too.
I was gonna say lately he's hit 10 threes for the last 2 games.
Yeah, I know. And this is a guy who can get to the foul line like 15 times a game if he wanted to as well. Yeah, the Nets are in a really good spot tonight. It could, we're talking Dinwiddie, we're talking Thomas, and they might go off, and it might be Mikal Bridges. That's the only problem with the Nets. Like they do have like a lot of really good players that can go off on given nights. So that's the one issue I even with Dinwiddie run into. Like it could just be a Bridges night, and you just got to accept it.
Des wants to know our thoughts here on Max Strus if Donovan Mitchell is ruled out tonight. They're obviously not putting Karis LeVert in the starting lineup. It's going to be Craig Porter here. So Strus, big minutes still, going to get some more shots. Do you think that there's a path for a ceiling game here for him?
We saw 50 bombs out of him earlier in the year. Like first few slates, there was no Garland, there was no Donovan Mitchell, who was out? There was no Jared Allen.
Yeah, no Jared Allen.
No Garland. It was Garland and Allen, right? Yep. At the beginning of the year. And we got 50 bombs. He was playing like 40 minutes right off the bat. They're like, oh, this is why we went out and signed him. He's an elite floor spacer. He obviously worked his way into a contract. Has not been that this year. 35% from 3. He's been way worse, but 600 is so expensive. Really good spot. Has a ceiling. Not against it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's in play tonight, given sort of that team and matchup that they got going on there. Going up against Utah, obviously a pretty good spot. We mentioned Sexton already. Charlotte guys, now that they're out of Canada and they can have their full rotation in there, does that knock Miller down for you? Price up to $6,500 for him.
Yeah. I mean, the 68 was crazy. 65 is still crazy. I think anything over 6K is still a little bit too pricey for the ceiling that he really hasn't shown.
Yeah, Mathurin, Hardaway, Karis LeVert still played 27 minutes the other night. Any interest in this mid to low 6K range?
I mean, like, what Mathurin are we going to get? He had an insane game again the other night. He's tended to have a couple of these, like it's random. He obviously saw a minutes bump, no Miles Turner last game. That helped because they had to play Obi Toppin as the backup center. LeVert. I mean, we'd figure he'd play 30 plus minutes. He played 35 against Boston, and then they're just like, nah, 25, 27.
Merrill got hot, and they kept him on. They kept Karis LeVert on the bench.
I mean, that's just a crazy sentiment. That's just a crazy thought.
I like him in tournaments.
So do I, but I do too.
I think he's in play there. Oubre, Heel, Melton, nothing really for me there.
So I do have an interesting thought about Oubre.
Donovan Mitchell ruled out. There it is.
Well, chalk of the slate is Craig Porter Jr. $4,300. I do have an interesting thought about Oubre because the Philadelphia 76ers have ruled out both Batum and Covington tonight.
Yep.
And Marcus Morris, who's been playing like 14 minutes a night, is also questionable.
Right.
So I think like we could see one of those like 30-minute games out of Kelly Oubre now that we've seen like 24 minutes. That was the first competitive game he's been involved in since coming back.
Right.
Played only 24, but he was 2 for 10 shooting. What if Kelly Oubre shoots better? Now there's no Covington. Now there's no Batum and maybe no Marcus Morris. 3 guys that actually play for them. Like just throwing it out there. I don't love it because it's 5,900 and it's Minnesota, but I do think that there's like a path to Kelly Oubre playing like 30 minutes a night.
If Malik Monk got ruled out, would Kevin Huerter have any more interest for you?
No. I mean, we should have seen this coming when Chris Duarte almost started over him to start the year. And now Chris Duarte's DMP every night, right? Like that's kind of where Kevin Huerter is like what has happened to Kevin Huerter here has really just
suppressing.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
It's not a good look. It hurts the value for the autograph card here, just the Kevin Huerter, the White Lightning just can't get it done. It's unfortunate. It wasn't a great pull anyways, but now that card's worth like $4. The paper's worth more than the ink of the Kevin Huerter autograph card there. And yeah, my desk is full of cards for those of you who are wondering. So I can always pull an autograph out of anywhere, really. Let's see. What do we have here? Hauser's up to 53. I mean, he's gonna play minutes.
No shot. 5,300, literally no shot.
Okay. He's not gonna go over 7 again. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, look, if anyone out there can guess the Sam Hauser game, go play the lottery. As soon as
he probably walks up to Keegan Murray's like, I heard you knocked down 12 threes the other day. Look what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, watch this, Keegan. For it.
Watch this. All right, let's see. Work our way down. Any other value shooting guards?
I guess the DiVincenzo could be a little interesting if Josh Hart, who was a midday downgrade, were to sit. You could see DiVincenzo slot into like upper 20s minutes, which he hasn't done a lot, but that's obviously something. I mean, Sam Merrill. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's gonna play. Like, he's gonna be in their like rotation a little here. How much? I mean, off the bench, LeVert 27, Merrill 24, Niang played 25 last game,
and Merrill basically played the entire fourth. So,
I mean, Donovan Mitchell played 40 minutes, right? Last game, he played 40 minutes. That is a lot of minutes.
Getting a lot of early ownership love.
He was.
That's obviously moved down a little bit here, but I wonder if that pops back up now that Donovan Mitchell gets ruled out.
Right. I mean, I was updating ownership, and then we got Donovan Mitchell out. So
yeah, we gotta wait. We gotta wait for the next update.
Yeah, there's not even a proper update there. What is Okoro? Small forward, power forward? Yeah. I mean, like, Merrill is whatever. They obviously have a lot of minutes, a lot of usage to go around. If he gets hot again, he'll probably stay on the floor, right? So
yeah, I was trying to see like what exactly is the minutes this year without Garland,
Mitchell and Mobley.
Yeah, Mitchell and Mobley. I bet it's like 8. I bet there's like 8 minutes.
There's probably not a lot of that.
Let's see. Garland, Mitchell, Mobley. Can't even find Mobley. There he is. Let's see what we have for actual playing time this season. 96 minute sample. Actually, not too bad. Let's see. Our top usage rate players, Craig Porter at 27%.
He is leaps and bounds going like first person play.
1.3 fantasy points per minute, 27% usage rate without Garland, Mitchell, and Mobley on the floor for Mr. Craig Porter. Our next highest fantasy point per minute output player, Max Strus, at 1.06. Sam Merrill is checking in at a 1.02 with a 22% usage rate. So,
I just don't. It's just a little uncomfortable knowing that he is $4,100. Like,
I agree.
Immediately, like, no time wasted, $4,100. Like, that is not cool. Like, that's not cool.
But Craig Porter is about to be in 90% of lineups tonight. So.
He should. Well, I mean, like, we talk good chalk, bad chalk. Like, he has been a freaking machine.
He's a 28% usage rate with a 1.3. So
he has been a machine.
Yeah, he's the man. All right, small forward. LeBron's up here again, questionable. Scotty Barnes at $9,300. JB, we've talked. Kawhi Leonard could be without Paul George tonight at $8,700 versus Dallas. That feels like a nice little spot for him there.
Yep.
Marketing, DDR. What are we doing here at small forward?
I mean, like, it's funny. I mean, Harden has obviously had a massive ceiling, but Kawhi's been the best player in that team for a month now, right? He has been so good night in, night out. The Indiana game was unfortunate, obviously. Peripheral stats, unfortunate. He had 28 actual in 27 minutes. Like,
James Harden closed the show in that game, and nobody could get back on the floor,
Yeah, I mean, the Harden fourth quarter was insane. So, like, Kawhi would be easily my favorite play from that tier. Markkanen did get up to 29 minutes. I wish it was a little more, but another blowout. Like, Utah's in a blowout seemingly every night. We probably get into the 30s here. I thought that last game. But he had a double-double in the 29 minutes. I'd assume low 30s, 31, 2, 3, somewhere in that range. So I'm perfectly fine getting to Markkanen. DeRozan is solid. He's been a little like inconsistent. I think that does, big minutes.
Is he auditioning?
I don't think DeMar DeRozan does. People may know what DeMar DeRozan's about. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Darvin Ham's never seen him play before. Maybe Rob Pelinka's never seen him play before. But hey, don't look now. Bulls 6-4 over the last 10.
I hear you. One of the narratives already thrown in the chat, but I love it anyways. I like Gordon Hayward in general. I play him a lot of more slates than most people probably do. Gets the Pacers matchup in Indiana. I mean, that's he wanted to be so desperately traded from Boston to the Pacers, and they sent him to Charlotte instead.
Poor guy. I mean, at the time it wasn't the worst. Now it's like, oh shoot, they're scoring a lot of more points than we are.
Yeah, so I could certainly see Hayward back in the lineup tonight, giving you another 40 to 37 fantasy point range here at $6,900. I definitely don't mind that price point for him there because everybody else in this price range, like I don't really care too much about. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., we've talked Max Struss. I think Miller's a little bit overpriced. Exum, Anunoby, Barrett. I mean, I don't know. Hayward feels like a good safe play here.
Yeah, Hayward does feel pretty safe. Sans the narrative that he's from Indiana. Don't care. And it's okay, Des. I appreciate the apology. You don't need to apologize.
Well, we have AD in Chicago. He's from Chicago. Do we do
that? Yep. Yeah, I remember that was why I always thought AD was going to land in Chicago. I was definitely all in on the narrative then when I was, I'm a Bulls fan. So I was like, yes, he's from here. Yeah. Just like I thought KD was going to Washington.
KD's the wizard. He's from the area.
He's from, of course.
Went everywhere but.
Yeah, I mean, literally everywhere but. And I can't say I blame him too much.
Him and Beal finally teamed up, though.
Him and Beal did in Phoenix, yep. Literally, like this tier is kind of again, maybe Barrett is someone that could see a bump if there's no Josh Hart. We know that RJ Barrett's minutes are usually capped like 30 to 32. Who's to say RJ Barrett doesn't get like mid 30s minutes if there's no Josh Hart tonight? In what should be a very competitive New York versus New York battle. Tari Eason,
even in like these these aren't great production like games like out of him, but he's still giving you like a fantasy point per minute plus, so I agree. His overall numbers don't look like that appealing, but he's been good, and we've seen ceilings out of him. So I don't mind it. The Eason one hurts my heart because I was all in on playing Tari Eason. Now we have a midday downgrade to questionable. I have him in a lineup right now but he's in my util. Jabari Smith's the same price. If Tari Eason's out, I think I just plug Jabari Smith and expect Jabari to play more minutes than he's been playing.
Yep.
It's just that Tari Eason's been so damn good that they don't, he's been closing, these games here. So
yeah, and it's like been one day Jabari sits, one day Şengün sits because it's like, well, Eason's playing, so one of you guys better figure out who's playing. Or if one of you is playing poorly, you are not closing the game.
It's a 3-quarter competition to see who's going to play the fourth because we know Tari's in. So
yep, that's crazy. That's crazy that we're here, but we're here. We're like all the way here.
Last year, don't sleep on the men. We never were. We were always on the Tari Eason train.
Well, it's funny because like you say. Also, Jabari Smith was the second overall pick in that same draft, and he's getting benched for the guy that was picked after him at times.
That happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
They have Jalen Green. That guy doesn't always play either. So
that isn't for a guy. Udoka was playing his starters massive minutes, and now it's Van Vliet and Brooks, and then whoever else is playing well. Like Brooks if he's not in foul trouble, Van Vliet no matter what, and then whoever else is playing well. And right on cue, Dylan.
Dez wants to know, what are our thoughts on Dillon Brooks here tonight?
I mean, like, when he stays out of foul trouble, he's a pretty good basketball player. Like, because he's so annoying, he plays big minutes because he's guarding the other team's best player. And I guess that could be a problem tonight with Trey. if he's guarding Trey, Trey takes a lot of free throws. So I'm okay if you land on Dillon Brooks. It's a massive pace-up spot. He's making a lot of threes. He's made multiple threes in 3 straight games. He's playing massive minutes, 35 plus in 3 straight games, including 2 of those at almost 40. Understand one of them was overtime, but still, as long as Dillon Brooks can stay out of foul trouble, he is. Yeah, I mean, it's all about
3 of those games on the road too. Comes back home here, maybe that gets a little travel rest. And
we know they've been great at home. I mean, we've said that from the start. I remember when they had that 6-game winning streak, they won all 6 at home. They were 6-4, 4 losses on the road, 6 at home.
Sean and I talked about this on the show this morning, if you caught it or not. But if you go look at all the Rockets players, they're averaging less minutes at home than they are on the road because they're blowing teams out. So Fred VanVleet is averaging over 40 minutes a night on the road. He's averaging only 37 at home. Here's Dillon Brooks averaging 3 less minutes at home than on the road because they're not finishing these games because of how well they're playing. So definitely something to look at there. Marcus Morris is active tonight, by the way. I don't know if that does anything for your Kelly Oubre. There. So
a little bit.
Dillon Brooks is perfectly fine. Anybody else in this range? Caruso, if he's in, maybe get the revenge game on Caruso. Wanted to sign with them, they didn't give him an offer. With the Lakers, wasn't that the whole thing with him there? And then you have a Okoro at $5,100, who you and I have trashed for a while, but if they have nobody else, someone's got to score, right?
He still might not. I mean, between him and Dean Wade, there's a chance neither of them still score. He has been a little better lately. Wouldn't you just and I know that I probably should, this is a loaded question because I know the answer for you, but wouldn't you just play Georges Niang for $1,100 cheaper?
Of course. And there's few bigger Georges Niang fans than
right. But I'm just I have more faith in 24 Georges Niang's minutes that he'll take more shots than Isaac Okoro if Isaac Okoro played every minute of the game.
I love that he got 25 minutes in that game.
Yeah, that's nice.
Again, wasn't his best performance, and he's really not playing well right now. But if there's no Donovan Mitchell, they're going to need some scoring out there. And this is definitely a matchup against Utah where he can match up well, I think, against them as well. They're not going to be overly physical with him, and I don't think their perimeter defense is all that great either. So, Amen Thompson is in, so we're about to get some Houston news here. We'll see if Tari Eason is actually playing here tonight. Not Tony Eason, Cracker. I know it's not Tony Eason, though. That was, I think, way before my time with the Patriots there. But anybody else? I mean, Amir Coffey, we talked about. Small forward only, $3,900. He played 29 minutes in that game. And Norm Powell played 35 in that game that didn't have Paul George. If both of these guys are out, I mean, someone's picking up a lot of minutes in this game, and we assume Kier Coffey's at least starting.
This is a cup of coffee I'm not going to drink, John. I'm taking my stand.
He took 15 shots.
Yeah, no, he's fine. If he's starting, he's fine.
Okay. There's obviously more value opening up on the slate, so you certainly don't have to go there. Yeah, Sean, I think he's good. I think he's better than he's given the credit for more often.
He is. I think he's good. I mean, there's a reason why he's a highly coveted floor spacer for teams, right?
And there was a little stretch there where he was rebounding the ball pretty well. Never know. Power forward here. AD, LeBron, both at the top, both questionable. Towns down to $8,800. So price drop a little bit on him. Randall's at 87. We've talked Leonard already. One of our favorite players of PG's out. Siakam, $8,600. Miles Bridges back. He's 85. Porzingis is 82. What are we doing at power forward tonight?
What are we doing at power forward? I mean, obviously the Lakers guys are great. I really like Julius Randle in the form that he's currently in. I mean, outside the Clippers game, which was the second leg of a back-to-back, and they got absolutely housed in. Randle's been amazing. And 43 minutes in regulation against the Lakers, I'm pretty confident in that we're going to see 40-plus minutes out of Randle in a lot of these games. Jericho Sims is out, and Mitchell Robinson's out, And we don't know how many minutes Taj Gibson can even handle at this point. Like, Sims got hurt really early in that game, and Taj Gibson only played 6 minutes. Like, it was Julius Randle from the outset playing 43 minutes of 48. Like, he played all but 5 possible minutes. And because I was tilting to you about his assists last game. He played the whole third and then didn't sub. He just played. He played the entire second half. Like, if that's what it's going to be, then there are a few better options really than Julius Randle at a price point where, like, if you're playing 40 minutes for a guy that's consistently getting 50 fantasy points, he should probably be a 9K plus player.
Yeah, I agree with you. Working our way down to the mid-tier range here. Anybody in particular sticking out? Do we think that Keegan Murray can keep it going?
I don't love the price. I understand he was great again. I don't love the price. It's not something that I'm really exploring. I didn't know if you wanted to mention Porzingis at $8,200 at center. But he has been the best fantasy producer for Boston, sans Tatum and Horford, 1.4 fantasy points per minute, really high usage rate. It's interesting because he's not playing big minutes, and I don't know if that has to do with just them. Some of these games have been blowouts. Some of them have been them just not needing him to play heavier minutes like he was earlier in the year. But obviously for a guy, no Tatum, 1.4 fantasy points per minute is no joke. So I would be willing to get to Kristaps Porzingis in tournaments.
Yeah.
I just don't know what his minute ceiling is, just based on him being out yesterday with the calf, it being an issue, and keeping him off the floor for 2 weeks, and now it's been 32 minutes was the ceiling, right? So that's my only worry with Porzingis, that 32 minutes is a cap, and at 8,200, I mean, not the best cap at 30.
Sure. I understand. Yeah, no, I agree with you, and definitely a potential worry for me is the sort of how they've managed him a bit there as well. Mid-tier power forwards, again, we talked about a few of these guys here. Do you think Washington has any value now that the team is back healthy? We've talked Jabari at 61, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Johnson, any of these guys?
I'll plead the fifth and say no. I don't really. I mean, PJ's fine, but I don't think he's going to play 30 minutes with Miles Bridges back.
So. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the rotation would have to be an injury or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess, how it all plays out. Any of these other guys then for value power forwards?
Value power forwards. I mean, there's obviously Rui Hachimura if any of the Lakers sit. Same with Christian Wood. I know Sean wrote up Dean Wade. I don't think I could get there. He's really had a kind of a ceiling back-to-back games. Now he's 48. He's still 4,800. That's tough for me. I don't think there's anything
outside of guys we've obviously talked about already, right?
I don't think there's any value Georges Niang.
Sure.
Like you said, we already talked about him. So
yeah, okay.
It's kind of it for me.
Saturday then. What are we doing with Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic here? Embiid finally more expensive than he is.
Probably. I mean, he should be. If you want to get to Joel Embiid, despite it being Rudy Gobert on the other side, I don't think anybody can stop Joel Embiid at this point. At least not right now. Unless it's Al Horford, who apparently is the only person in the world that can stop Joel Embiid.
Right.
So if you want to get to him, fine. If you want to get to Jokic coming off a floor game because they won by 50, sure. You can, obviously you'll get him at next to no ownership. I think Sabonis is incredibly interesting. 3 straight really good games, triple-double upside for him against Boston. Bam at 95 is a little bit interesting. 36 minutes off rip. Another guy.
They just played him right away.
And now there's no Jimmy Butler, and we've seen massive ceiling from Bam this year in general.
And he's going to get a returning Wendell Carter Jr. up against him.
Right.
It feels like a good spot for Bam here for me.
Yeah. The only downside is the $9,500 price tag, but he's been a fantastic fantasy point per minute guy without Jimmy this year. So no reason to think that stops.
Does Miles Turner burn us tonight at $7,200?
There is
50 games total against Charlotte here.
There's always a chance Miles Turner can burn us.
You got him, you got Capella, you got Allen at 7K as well in a spot where no Donovan, he's missing all the starters in that rotation now, except for Jared Allen and Max Strus.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Because he's not out there creating his own shot. If you ever watch Jared Allen, he's not catching and dribbling it to the rim. He's not in the post. He is a very good screen and roll guy and catching lobs and very good on the glass. And I don't think he's not suddenly going to break out like Joel Embiid. He's not going to look like Joel Embiid in the post tonight. Yeah, I think any of these guys Capella's Capella's on an insane run himself.
Or revenge game for him too.
Revenge narrative. Clint Capella, 40 bombs, almost a 50 bomb last game. 40 bombs in 3 of his last 5 and almost 4 of his last 5. So if you want to go there, by all means, dude. Here's something I've been really interested in. If Paul George, if this rotation shortened, dude, Zubats has been awesome lately, and basically playing all minutes, other than the game in Sacramento where they just, he's in a little foul trouble and they blow him out on the second leg of a back-to-back. They're up 30 at halftime in that game. Yeah. Dude, Zubats has been awesome.
And he's been eating in games where the other teams don't really have centers to match up. There's no Derek Lively tonight for the Clippers, so they're going to go with Dwight Powell again. No, I think Zubac's a really good call.
Especially if there's no George. I mean, we're talking about a team that's just, shorthanded, a few extra shots. We know Paul George is a good rebounder. A lot to like about Ivica Zubac.
Agreed. Nick Richards, Walker Kessler down here. Hartenstein at $5,800. We had an early question about him. Obviously, we expect him to start. 39 minutes the other day against the Lakers. He's not a great offensive player. He's an efficient offensive player. He's not going to go take a bunch of shots. Rebounding was kind of wild. Blocks lately, doing more than Mitchell Robinson's ever been giving us lately. I mean, some impressive numbers here for Isaiah Hartenstein.
How much of a priority is for you?
I haven't really gotten to him yet in a lineup, but I mean, I could get to him in a lineup. I gotta see how these lineups build now, like Craig Porter and all that in there.
I was building with 5,400 Wendell Carter earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about the monitored minutes portion of that, because I don't think that's again, if he looks really good, that doesn't feel like anything that's going to take him off the floor.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
he wasn't having the best of season, I'll say, before he got hurt.
Sure.
Dude, Craig Porter's 95% rostered. That's what we're looking at right now.
I mean, I would have probably taken the over. No, I probably would have taken the under.
I just refreshed. I'm looking at 95%.
Zach Collins ended up being 80% on a 4-game slate. It's funny, right? Zach Collins 4,900 on a 4-game slate was 80% rostered. On a 10-game slate, you have a $4,300 point guard that is 95%.
95%. He is also 90% on FanDuel, where he is $4,600. So
I mean, and we're gonna we'll get ours updated as soon as we possibly can. The top 5 projected plays in terms of ownership tonight are Cleveland.
Yeah.
Porter, LeVert, Merrill, Strus, Niang. Maybe something to take a look at. Jared Allen he's there, 19.9, but he's the 6th highest projected Cleveland Cavalier.
What do you make of Julius Randle getting a bump now? That ownership wasn't there for Randle earlier, was it?
Dude, the Knicks have kind of been a little popular today, like him and Quickly, especially because I think they're like, oh wow, like Quickly played 20 minutes. Yeah, Randle is 20% on our first update.
Got a
second update.
Slight boost there. I wonder if the Jabari Smith love, looking at 16% right now, is an expectation for Tari Eason to sit. I mean, would you, if Eason's in, are you playing Jabari at 61? I know we talked about this one already, but I don't feel like I would be either. Heat starting lineup: Lowry, Hero, Jaquez, Martin, and Bam. So Duncan Robinson still off the bench now with Hero back.
You see these prices for Jaquez and
I know.
Caleb Martin are just.
Isn't Caleb Martin like 8K, something like that?
They're both over 7K. Caleb Martin 73, Jaquez 71. That's criminal.
Yeah, not spots that I'm looking to go there. We were on power forward, weren't we?
No, center. We were at Hartenstein.
Derek Jones is getting love. He didn't do very well the other night.
No.
I don't know what your
They got blown out. They got blown out. Like he didn't even get to play. He didn't even get to play the fourth quarter.
Right.
No one did in that game.
If you had to pick a value center, you going Dwight Powell or Neemias Queta tonight?
Neemias Queta. You know what's interesting about that game last night? He looked super lost in most coverages outside of drop defense, right? Like when he is like I don't know if you like he ran away to cover someone cutting the basket. When there was a driver with the basketball like at him, he ran to it. Like I was just kind of like, okay, this guy's like a very raw.
Yeah,
but
he's not a rookie prospect. He's been in the league for a little bit.
I know, but like he's just super like figuring it out. He looks super spazzy out there. Really good rebounder. Really good offensive rebounder.
He's an athletic dude.
He is one of the better Gamecast watchers where you're like, Neemias Queta miss, offensive rebound, miss, offensive rebound, miss, offensive rebound, put back.
Right.
He's going to be one of those guys. But the most interesting thing I found about last night was that he was playing with Al Horford last night.
Yeah.
Do you think that he does that tonight with Porzingis? Because there's no Horford, there's no Murder Cornet. Like that could be, and no Tatum, right? That could be a thing that they do.
I think I put it in the Discord, or I was starting to type it and maybe I deleted it. But when I was looking at Popcorn Machine, I mentioned that they were on the floor together with the lack of big power forward rotation. Like Porzingis played power forward last year for the Wizards. You certainly could be a spot where they play them together. Beantown saying Time Lord 2.0. They wish that was the case. He's got healthier knees than Time Lord does. But I think there's a reason that Isaiah Stewart trade rumors are starting to wind up. I mean, Boston is supposedly in on him, so we'll see if they make a move here. Queta, I don't think is long for the Celtics rotation, but they're giving him some opportunities to earn some playing time. He's had his moments. Taco wants to know Bam or Hero tonight. I'm gonna go Bam, I think.
Heroes. Bam is your hero tonight.
All right, so we did that one already. Let's build a lineup for the folks here. I guess we gotta go put in 90% Craig Porter.
We're gonna be one of 7 people in our 20,000 person contest without Craig Porter. Just play Craig Porter.
I mean, how many Cavs are we playing tonight?
LeVert. Probably. I would probably go LeVert. If Karis LeVert doesn't play 30 minutes tonight, there's something going on.
I agree.
There has to be something. He has to be in the doghouse.
Are you playing Niang or Okoro?
I mean,
I'm asking you.
I don't want to play Isaac Okoro.
Okay.
I get what he's done the last 2 games. I do. I understand it. I see it. My eyes are telling me that he has scored 30 fantasy points in back-to-back games. I see it. He's also taken 7 and 9 shots in those games.
Agreed.
Who's to say he doesn't take 6 shots tonight, or 5 shots, or 8 shots? Like it's all bad. What's the news? What do we got? Starting lineups? Anything? Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Towns, Gobert, Halliburton, Brown, Hield, Toppin, Turner, Rozier, Miller, Hayward, Bridges, Richards. So nothing new, nothing that we didn't expect.
I threw a lineup together. You can let me know what you think about it.
Jazz will start.
I saw.
Talon Horton Tucker is apparently. I mean, I don't know if positionless basketball, but he started listed as a starting point guard. Sexton, Fontecchio, Markkinen, and Walker Kessler.
The Prince will be updated shortly. We are waiting officially for the update to come through on our end so we can hit the publish button for you. So we'll have it momentarily. Any adjustments to the lineup I threw together here quickly on the screen? Oubre starting.
Oh! I told you there was always a chance that we were going to get Kelly Oubre extended run. Who's he starting over? Melton?
No, Melton's on the floor.
Maxey, Melton. Oh, he's starting. Oh, in place of Batum.
Batum, yeah.
And then the Covington. Covington probably starts if he was there, but he's not.
There's an adjustment to get rid of Coffee. Threw Oubre in there. Went down to Hartenstein.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is like the Harden. I probably don't play Harden 88 if Paul George plays. No, I'm not saying he won't get there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that's why he's at util because I'll just move down to like Kawhi or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's an easy pivot.
But like the rest of the lineup, I kind of like Porter, LeVert, Niang, Hayward, Hartenstein, Derek White, Kelly Oubre.
Maybe Lakers news we're getting. Gabe Vincent will play limited minutes. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm indifferent.
It's a fair and balanced build, right?
Yeah, it's a fair and balanced. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good with this build.
Okay. Any final thoughts here for the people at home?
No, everything. We should have the ownership updated momentarily. Projections have been updated. There was a slight blip in the Craig Porter Jr. Status. We're working on that. He has been updated in the projections. We're working on getting him in the playbook. Don't fade Craig Porter Jr. Just plug and play.
Yes, we're getting him in that lineup generator for everybody as well. Tech team is working on that as well, so just be on the lookout. And if you've been waiting to become a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, check back tomorrow. We got a little Christmas special coming out for everybody. So now would be your time. So if you haven't yet already become a Fantasy Alarm subscriber, tune in tomorrow. Check the socials. We'll have some cool Christmas deals going on for everybody there. But for now, everybody, good luck on your slate here this evening. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll catch you all then. Good luck.